tackle financial issues, no matter how big or small. We help people go from being broke and scared to having hope with a plan. And now, here is your host, the owner and lead financial coach at Strong Tower Consulting, Justin Bennett.
And we are live here at the Webcast One studios. It is the Strong Tower Financial Hour, where we do help people from being broke and scared, and we do give them hope with a plan. We are very glad you are part of the show today. This is going to be a fun and exciting show. We have a theme hour today. How much is your car costing you? We spend a lot of money in this culture on cars, a lot of money on something that loses value. Now, there's nothing wrong with owning a car, but we put a lot more into these little cars than we probably should. So we have a whole theme hour full of guests and conversation to help you make right decisions when it comes to buying a car and how much your cost is costing you as a part of your financial plan. So we have several guests on our show today. We have Dave Jacobson with Financial Fitness on here, a fellow friend and financial coach, and it's always good to have other coaches on here to share what I share the message as well. We're going to have Bob Conroy of Conroy Insurance, LLC, and friend Mark Lang, who is a car salesman. And we're just going to talk about cars from the insurance side and buying and can you afford the car. And then lastly, we're going to have Steve Bensema with RE/MAX Real Estate talking about how car payments can affect the house that you buy. So this is going to be a fun and fantastic show. Glad you're with us today. Well, our first guest on the line from Maple Grove, Minnesota, a suburb of Minneapolis, is Dave Jacobson. Dave, how are you today?
Excellent, Justin. How are you?
I am awesome. Thank you for being on the show.
You're welcome. I'm looking forward to it.
Awesome, awesome. Well, I know you, and so let's introduce you to our fellow listeners and viewers. Tell us a little bit about yourself, your family, and what you do as a financial coach.
All right, happy to. Again, Maple Grove, Minnesota. I've been a coach for going on 6 years. My wife and I did what most people do. We started living and looked up one day. Things were getting tight. We had $60,000 in debt, consumer debt, cars and credit cards and things like that. I said, you know what? If we didn't have this $1,500 a month going out in payments, it would be easier. We decided to get out of debt. It took us 3 years. And initially, we're like, hey, you know, the numbers are nice, the $1,500 a month extra, but what really impacted us was in order to kill that $20,000 a year, we had to be on the same page. So yes, it changed the numbers, but that was only really a small piece of what changed our life. Getting on the same page, having that same vision, all that relationship stuff is what changed our life. And that set us on a path that was totally different, and it is amazing. So I evolved through careers and eventually got to the point where I could become a financial coach and help others with that process. Boy, it's just neat to finally be able to do what I'm called to do.
That's awesome. And I've known Dave now for about 2 or 3 years. And the thing I like about Dave is, yes, the numbers are important, but he's more focused on the heart and getting the emotions right. And if you're married, getting on the same page, because that's obviously a lot more valuable than the numbers, even though the numbers are important. So that's just one small snippet about Dave. So Dave, what got you into financial coaching? I mean, you just mentioned it was a calling. What was it for you that said, I want to be a financial coach?
Wow. You don't grow up thinking you want to be a financial coach. It doesn't even really exist at the time I was growing up. I've always had a passion for helping people build wealth, always loved numbers, money. My first job out of college, I got a business administration degree. I actually wanted to help people build wealth. What are the two models out there? You can either sell insurance or investments. I chose insurance, looked great, got into it, hated it, quit 6 months later. It wasn't for me. I love the people that do it, and they are definitely part of this process, as you know, and I love referring people to them, and it's an element they need, but it just wasn't for me. So I went on and did some other things and really struggled vocationally, like a lot of the people that we meet, Justin, that are struggling with their finances. I wasn't happy. I was just going to work. And I was generating revenue, but I wasn't happy. Literally praying about it for months, and looked up at my computer screen one day, and I logged in looking at jobs or what have you, and I happened to be looking at a Dave Ramsey website, and there was financial coaching there. I said, what is this? And I started doing research. It took me about a year and a half of researching. I called about 15 to 20 coaches across the nation, said, what is this coaching thing? How do you make money coaching broke people? All that stuff that we talked about, and it became obvious that this is what I needed to do. And set a path, and that's kind of the short version of how I got into it, and I haven't looked back.
And 6 years later, here you are. Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, the reason I have you on the show today is to talk about some car stories. One that I just love that you share a lot when you coach clients and do financial workshops. Tell us the story about family and this Dodge Stratus and this debt car that you talk about all the time.
Well, I think you and I both have our relatives and friends that, oh, that's really cute what you do, Justin, but that's for other people.
Yes.
So it's I won't say which relatives because I really genericize it for the My Money Wellness presentations that we do, but my brother-in-law is totally on the same page, and his wife is the free spirit that doesn't really want to deal with this stuff, or they're doing fine or what have you. So he's totally on board, wants to get out of debt and things like that. So he had bought a 2000 Dodge Stratus in 2009. He had a fender bender, hail damage, missing hubcap, and as he put it, the upside was that it only had 107,000 miles on it. He got it for $1,000. He'd had it 2 years, put 50,000 miles on it. He'd done the nerd math. That's only 2 cents per mile. But it really didn't have any issues. Now his wife, on the other end of the spectrum, I need something reliable, safe for the kids, all that other stuff. So she got a big loan for a brand new 2010 Dodge Journey. It was in the shop 3 times in the first 2 months they owned it, and they actually went through the process of seeing if it was a lemon, and it didn't quite qualify. It was just under the line. So this brand new car that was supposed to be reliable and all that stuff kept breaking down. They came down for Thanksgiving. Because of their schedules, he had to come down early, but she didn't want the younger kids riding with him because of the hail-damaged beater that wasn't going to make it. So he was there waiting, and we got a call shortly before dinner. She had broke down on the 3-hour trip about halfway to the place. He had to go save her with the beater. So it was just a funny story and how we get locked into our we give excuses for getting cars we want.
We do. Now, Dave, I'm sure when you said that the cost of the car was $1,000, they probably thought the car looked like this. Cue the picture. Now, Dave knows this picture. He's seen this picture. That is not the $1,000 car that his brother-in-law bought. This was the $1,000 car that he bought. Not too shabby. A great point A to point B car, and I just said it cost him 2 cents a mile in fuel. Or that's it, 2 cents a mile.
Yeah.
Wow.
The cost of ownership, yep.
Wow. So you said you had another story that you wanted to share with us. Go ahead and share this recent car story.
Well, I had another client story that just came in last week. The clients that really love the idea of selling their car, but it's a tough thing to do. How do you juggle buying one, selling one, all that other stuff, the logistics of it? And yeah, you're kind of wanting to sell it, but not really. What if? And we're not going to be able to find anything. Well, they're fired up. We found a car, $2,300, and they had it set aside for a '98 Volvo, 150,000 miles, all the service records done. And in their notices, we were very excited. We were so worried about this piece of the process. And it's just how excited they are about not the car, but what this is going to do for them is just going to be amazing, because it's going to totally take off the pressure of that car payment. They currently have $1,100 in car payments going out between the two cars, and as we ran the numbers, which I'm sure you're going to be talking about in the rest of your show, it's amazing the impact that it's going to have for them. So the end of the note here, God had a hand in this one. It's just amazing how when we make a decision to do something, when the why is strong enough, the how will happen. They found a way to do it.
And that's true every single time, Dave. You're exactly right. Great story. And, the thing about buying cars, you said that they felt good about it. And what I have found, and I think you've probably found this a lot, Dave, is when they do things, we all know what the right thing to do is. We're just afraid of the results. And so when they do the right thing, our clients do the right thing, and, this actually was a good thing, and it was okay. It just totally gives them a new sense of peace and encouragement and power to go forward and, as we like to say, do something.
Exactly.
Very cool.
Exactly.
Well, share with us, what do you tell your clients? We've got a couple minutes left till the next break. Share with us, what do you tell your clients as they're thinking about going into debt for a car, or they're not quite sold on this pay cash for a car thing? What do you tell your clients?
Oh, that's case by case. Sometimes it's the princess mentality with the husband. I guess it could be the wife or the wife, the husband. The princess mentality, they just want it, and they're just using excuses. So really it comes to building the why. Why are you guys here? Why are you going through coaching? Because those are the people that really want to win. They're the ones that they're going to the personal trainer because they really want to get fit. The why has to be strong enough, so you have to find your why. And you do a good job of that too, Justin, is helping people build the vision of where you want to get to, because once that vision of where you want to get to is built strong enough, we're able to just shed all this stuff about keeping up with the Joneses and having the nice car and all that stuff. And don't get me wrong, you'll be talking about this later too, I'm sure. I want you to have a cool car. I have nice cars. But you got to get out of debt and get that traction in place first, and then you can buy them for cash.
Absolutely. And so share with us, all of our guests have to share the car today. What car are you driving?
I am in my Lexus right now.
Lexus. Wow. If you drive like no one else, later you can drive like no one else. That's awesome. Well, Dave Jacobson, thank you for being on here, fellow friend and financial coach. We appreciate it. When we come back here at the Strong Tower Financial Hour, we'll have Steve Bensema with RE/MAX Real Estate, and we're also going to have Bob Conroy of Conroy Insurance LLC and Mark Lang, and we're going to talk about the total cost of ownership. When we come back, stay with us.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Drug and alcohol addiction slowly steals a person's identity, tearing away pieces of their life little by little until one day it seems like the hope of a happy future is gone and there's no chance of getting it back. Here at St. Gregory Retreat Centers, we can assure you that there is hope. Our unique approach to recovery begins with the understanding that the dysfunction and damage caused by addiction can be overcome, not just dealt with. Don't let another day go by. Call St. Gregory today.
My name is Justin Bennett with Strong Tower Consulting, where we passionately coach individuals, families, and businesses to make better financial decisions that help create success and eliminate financial stress. I offer a free 30-minute consultation where we find out where your situation is. I explain how I do my coaching services. Then it's up to you whether you want to continue. The Bible has, depending on who you believe, 800 to 2,000 scriptures that talk about money alone. So it's a pretty important subject in God's eyes. That's one of the things that I enjoy doing, is help them see God's ways of handling money. You know, it's interesting. Most people that I ask, what would it be like to be debt-free? The common response is, I don't know. I don't think it's possible. But in 90 days, most of my clients go from, I don't think it's possible, to I'm excited. In 2 years or less, I will be debt-free. There's no tricks, no gimmicks, nothing being sold here. It's just learning how to do money well. This is Strong Tower Financial Hour, where we help people go from being broke and scared to having hope with a plan.
Adam, introduce yourself to us.
I am Adam Obrecht with AO Wealth Advisory, and I am a financial planner working here in the Metro.
And what is it that you do as a financial planner?
I work with clients' goals, and my main goal is to help clients maximize what they earn, invest it wisely, and be able to figure out a plan to give generously to charity and their families.
And what sets you apart from other financial planners here in the Des Moines area?
I really look forward to working with clients on a daily basis, and it excites me to be able to figure out their plan and what gets them excited about money.
Awesome. Well, that is Adam Olbricht with AO Wealth Advisory, investment advisor, representative of Investment Advisors Corp., and SEC registered advisor. Securities offered through broker-dealer financial services, member FINRA and SIPC. Thanks for watching. And we are back here at the Strong Tower Financial Hour. Thank you for joining us. If you missed our first guest, is Dave Jacobson with Financial Fitness, a fellow friend and financial coach in the business, talking about cars. And today is a car theme hour. How much are your cars costing you? Probably a lot. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. Later on our show, Steve Bensimon with RE/MAX Real Estate. And we'll be talking to in just a moment Bob Conroy and Mark Lang. By the way, Webcast One Studios, where this show is done right here, we have an app that you can use with your Android or your iPhone or your iPad. Be sure to go on there and look for the Webcast One Live app, and you can watch all of the shows on the studio right there for free, no cost, and we'd love for you to join us on that. Well, in our studios today, we have Mark Lang and Bob Conroy. How are you guys today?
Great. Good to see you.
Terrific.
Awesome, awesome. Well, we're going to talk about the cost of ownership with the cars, and I guess let's introduce our guest. Bob, you've been on our show a couple of times, and you're with Conroy Insurance, LLC?
Yeah, correct. And out in Windsor Heights, across from the Walmart on 73rd Street.
Very good. Yeah. And you've been in the insurance industry?
Well, let's just say they had cars that didn't run on gas, and you kind of shoveled coal in the back. It's been a while.
And Mark, what is it you do?
What I do is I have a passion for helping people get out of debt, and most of that's related to the church. So we coordinate many financial peace classes, and I also work part-time. And I retired from the corporate world a couple of years ago and have enjoyed finding different things to do. Currently, I'm a car sales consultant at a non-traditional location here in Des Moines. Can't get into too many details about that right now, but I would be glad to answer any of those questions offline.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, Mark, let's talk with you first, since you're getting into this sales stuff. Walk us through what a car sales process looks like.
It's similar to what Dave said earlier. You just want to find out as much information as you can to help your customer. You want to ask why and keep asking why and drill down and find out what the customer's needs are. And typically it's reliable transportation is somewhere at the core of that. But often it's frustrating because it's the style, the culture that's driving the decision. So that's where it gets interesting.
So can you tell us, I don't know if there's an average, but what does the average car buyer, they walk in, what do they look like?
What do they look like? That totally blew me away. There is no profiling. The people that come in and pay cash, you would not expect to. The people that walk in and look like they should be paying cash don't, and they finance it some astronomical APRs. So I guess the first thing I learned was expect the unexpected. There's no accurate way to profile the typical car buyer.
Wow. And so some people, they don't look like they have the money, and here's my cash, let's buy it. Other people, they look like they're gonna have a lot of cash and no down payment.
The challenge credit is a big deal, and I think it's gonna keep getting bigger before it turns around. And so if I can just reach maybe a couple people today to provide some information, that'd be a good day. That's my goal.
And you're a huge fan of paying cash for cars.
Oh yeah. I learned a long time ago, thanks to Bruce Williams on the radio. So what triggered me was a radio show. And I learned back in the 70s that you're better off paying off your house. And then it took a while. It took a little bit of time to get through the thickness, but I learned in the 80s that after I had about 3 different vehicles and financed, then somewhere in the late 80s, then we decided no more. So yeah, it's been several decades since I've borrowed money for a vehicle.
And so, wow, no, car's paid for, everything's paid for, and you're semi-retired and doing what you love.
I love talking to people. I love meeting people. I love being able to help people.
Very cool. Very cool. And we got Bob here on the show a little bit. And so, Bob, I mean, you see a lot of people in the insurance industry. And one of the things we're going to talk about, you can't afford the car is if they're calling you while they're seeing someone like Mark at the lot about insurance. Talk about that.
Yeah, it's amazing. And this goes back earlier in my career. So this is a few years back, so I might use some archaic things, but the concept's the same. They would call from the dealership. This is before cell phones, so they're on the dealership phone, and they would want to know, like, what's the difference in the insurance if I buy, I'll say, like a Maverick versus a Pinto or a Mustang, or fill in the blanks, and it was like the few dollars difference. And there's a difference. It could be the type of car, the repairability of it. The insurance companies take all that into account. There's companies that test all of them. They crash them. They know, and then the value of the car to begin with, its repairability. The likelihood that it will be stolen, because there's reports and stats on that. Horsepower to weight ratio. So if there's a lot of horsepower in a smaller car, that's going to get bumped up. So all that enters into it. But at the end of the day, compared to the price of the car, compared to our incomes, it's nothing. It's just not that material of a deal. So the fact that it is for somebody was always a sign to me that they couldn't afford the car.
Wow.
And those are the ones that have a hard time making their payments on time, and you could just see it coming, kind of like a slow motion train wreck.
Wow. So, Mark, you're in the car business. Are you seeing people get on their phone and texting their agent or calling their agent and going, how much is my insurance? Is that still today happening at all?
I wish I did. No. There's too many people oblivious to that.
Wow.
And that's why most people are going to understand there's maybe 3 or 4 costs involved in owning a vehicle. But when we drill down to all 7 of them, I think it's going to open some eyes today.
So we're going to talk about total cost of ownership. Let's just dive into that. So what are those 7 total costs of ownership when looking? Because not just the purchase price.
Okay. So for those following along, I'm on the Edmunds website, and they have a TCO page. So you can select the vehicle. You can drill down to what exact car, what year, and what features, what trim line, all that. So I'm on, and I went ahead and just picked a common vehicle. I picked a 2010 Camry. So very quickly, let's go to the bottom line. $15,658 to buy it if you buy in cash. But the total cost of ownership of that vehicle for 5 years, over a 5-year span, is over $35,000. $35,542.
Wow.
So more than double to cost to own it. Now, most people realize to get a vehicle, it's going to depreciate. Most people get that. And most people realize the most expensive operational item for a car is the gas. We're at, $3.50 a gallon as of this morning. So you got depreciation, your fuel, and most people obviously realize you got to insure the car. But then it starts getting a little fuzzy. Taxes and fees. Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. Birthday time, yep, there's that bill in the mail. You got to put tags on it. Okay, financing in most cases, probably my personal experience is probably closer to 80%, but industry standards are 95% of the vehicles get financed. There's additional costs there. In this particular case, almost $2,000 on this particular Camry, and it's a 2010. And now the big one that a lot of people, when they come shopping, they plain just forget about maintenance and repairs. 2 different categories. Maintenance, that's your keeping the oil changed, that's just keeping the tires and the belts, the wiper blades, the batteries, keep going on and on and on. But then the repairs, that's when the check engine light, your computers have malfunctions, your window won't go up or down anymore, your sunroof, could be transmission engine, could be anything. So you get to all 7, add that all up, it's a lot of money.
So the original purchase price, I'm going by memory, is $15,500, $600.
Yep,
but in 5 years?
Yeah, if you add up everything over 5 years. And now this is still kind of general. We're not even talking about coming downtown and parking, and there's additional cost to ownership other than this. But we're going to try to keep it kind of simple.
Absolutely, and that's just a Toyota Camry. That's not counting it for those folks who want. I got to have a Lexus, I got to have a Cadillac, or a brand new car. A lot of people like to get a brand new car, and as we all know around this table, a brand new car you lose 20 to 25% within a week.
Yeah.
The moment you have it.
And actually, in this example, for each year, it's between $6,000 and $8,000 cost of ownership per year.
Wow.
Most cars I looked at are closer to $10,000 a year. So now you put that $10,000 a year in perspective compared to what you make, compared to the other vehicle. I mean, it blows you away.
And you're losing not just the $500 a month, that's at $6,000 a year. If you got a car payment with the average is $464, we'll just round it to $500. That's $1,000 a month on average is going out the door. That's pretty incredible. And I'll never forget, I had a client, Bob, I don't know if you remember this, there was a van that you were looking at with one of my clients, and they just bought it close to brand new, and the offering price that was on the table was 25% less than what they got at the dealership.
And of course she didn't sell the van. I remember that.
Yep.
And about 3 or 4 months later, I found one just like it for like 40% less than, and that's what my wife's driving today.
Now, Bob, one of the things we talk about all the time is you like to, like Mark and I like to do, you try to help people give advice. When you're telling people pay cash for cars, especially maybe your kids, what do they say about that?
Well, the kids are used to it now. Although at first they looked at me like I had a third eye or something.
Oh, well, wait, we got a third eye of Bob right now.
Oh, great! Nice, Justin. Nice. But that's the look. You get this look like cash. It goes against our culture and people just, they're trying to keep up with the Joneses. Somebody in the neighborhood, a friend, a relative buys a car, they get caritis, and boom, they're down there. You just see it over and over again. Unplanned purchase. It becomes an emotional thing rather than a intelligent, thought out, budgeted item. And they fall in love with their car and they buy it and they love the car and the car doesn't love them back and it costs them money.
Yeah, I was in the banking industry for a little while, and what was really interesting when I was in the banking industry is I saw so many people coming in for a car loan. Oh, I got to have this car. I got to have this car. And they would give me every reason why that car is awesome. 6 months later, they'd be back in telling me every reason why that car was junk, and they need to go get this one, and here's all the reasons why that, and they just kept doing it over and over and rolling, losing equity, and their payments kept going up, and the asset was going down.
Yep. They're just cars at the end of the day. It's transportation.
Point A to point B. When we get back, we're going to talk more about the total cost of ownership when it comes to buying a car and owning a car. And also, we're going to share with you our cars. We've been talking about cars and giving them a hard time. We're going to show you what paid off cars look like when we come back on the Strong Tower Financial Hour, where we help people go from being broke and scared to having hope with a plan.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
I'm Brian Leach, owner and general manager of Service Legends. I brought along a couple of the home comfort heroes.
Hi, I'm Tammy Wells.
I am Nick Wondershide.
I'm administrative manager.
I am the senior technician
from Service Legends.
It seems like every good thing, when you feel it to the bone that it's good, there's a lot of hard work put behind it. I don't think that you can fake it and have it turn out good.
If we seem like, okay, that's just weird, it's just a furnace, why would you believe so deeply in a furnace? It's not just that, we want to show the world that you can have good service.
Yeah, it's got to be, it's your home.
It's built into our daily trainings, it's built into our culture, that we're going to do whatever it takes to have each client say they love us, period.
That's why we spend all the hours in the training that we do. And if we guarantee it's going to be a good experience for you, or else it's free, what type of work do you think we're going to do?
There is a guarantee.
Temperature selection guarantee, fixed right or it's free guarantee, comfort guarantee, best value guarantee. All of these guarantees hold us accountable to ensuring that we exceed your expectations. And if for whatever reason we'd fail and we can't make it right, we guarantee all of those guarantees with a 100% money back guarantee.
If you don't think that your technician can fix it right, are you going to say that to a client? No.
You don't have to worry about having a technician come to your house.
We drug test, background check all of our team members. We put safe people in your home. Each and every one of our service techs, 400 hours a year in training.
You tell it the minute they walk in the door. They know what they're doing, they've done their homework, and they actually truly care about what you want.
Because at the end of the day, you're the person that makes sure I have a job.
They're going to be listening. They're going to want to know what your challenges are. Then they're going to come and give you options, and you get to choose.
If I'm there to help and I make it easy and painless, I did my job right that day.
Well, when it comes to your comfort, safety, and your family, you don't necessarily go buy the most expensive, but you get the most bang for your buck.
Oh, it's worth it, because there's a lot of people that will find a way to get it to work right now and then leave. and then come back, charge you again, and the cycle just repeats itself. So when I'm out there looking at the furnace, I want to find why it failed today. How can we change the part today with something that you're not going to have to worry about? Is it worth changing the part today? I mean, you can put a lot of money into a furnace. I can fix parts all day. There's good job security in that for me, but is it the right thing for you?
I get a lot of the phone calls of after the technicians are there. They're just in awe. They're like, wow, you guys are great. I mean, I don't even know what to say. You guys are great. Everything you did was perfect. It was great.
Keep going though, I like this.
Just give us a try. I'm gonna take all the risk.
I've got the time to make this right. I've got the support to make it right.
Just check us out.
And if you don't see the value in what we do,
I mean, fixed right or it's free or 100% money back.
enough said.
We are back here at the Strong Tower Financial Hour. Thank you for joining us. Today is the How Much is the Car Costing You theme hour. We spend a lot of money on our cars, and we were talking at the break. People don't even know how much they're paying. Mark, let's talk about that. You've got people at your car salesman, you see that they walk in, they don't even know what the sticker price is. What are they looking for?
Well, what kind of blows me away is I'll open up the Sunday paper, and I usually don't like to touch the paper, but I will see that pretty much the ad's just telling you how much per month. And now that I'm working in the business, more often than not, it's just how much per month, irregardless of how many months. So back when we were younger, it used to be 36. Then it got to 48 months. But now we hardly see anything under 72 months.
Wow.
Or maybe it'll go 60. Now, I don't see any 84s because the lenders aren't offering that. But I see a day in the near future where 84 months, and that's an awful long time.
Wow.
Car's going to be worn out.
7 years and then 96. Crazy. I mean, it could go 8 years.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, it's just, but if it's $375 a month, that works for me. I'm not even going to worry about the rest because our culture doesn't do a very good job of planning, as you know.
Wow. And Bob, you were saying that too. You run into people all the time. They don't even know how much they paid for it.
Yeah, you ask them what they pay for, because sometimes you need to establish that value so you can figure out what the insurance is going to be on a newer model. They really don't know. They just have no clue what they paid for it.
What's interesting, you said that too. I've seen a lot of clients that come in, or even back when I did car loans, and I'd see their purchase agreement. They didn't even know what that was. They just signed a paper. I'm like, what's your purchase agreement? I don't know. What is that? That's where it tells you how much you're paying for it, if there are any discounts, any added features, and they didn't know.
And it's a legal contract.
Yeah, go figure. Legal and binding. So today we're talking about if you can't afford a car. And so one of the things looking at my list that was fun is if filling the gas tank strains your budget, you can't afford the car. Let's talk about that, Mark.
Yeah, gas, as we know, it's a big deal. We've seen it up to around $4, even over $4 a gallon. What can you say? You got to get to work. You got to get back and forth. You got to get to where you're going. If you're having trouble putting gas in the tank, then we need to reevaluate the vehicle you're in. We just have to. But on the other hand, it works both ways, because if you drive a vehicle that does not get very good gas mileage, but you only spent $1,000 or $2,000 for that vehicle, and you want to trade, we see people all the time come in, well, I need something with better gas mileage. Yeah, but you're spending 5 to 10 times more for that vehicle. It's not a wise choice.
Absolutely. What's your thoughts on the gas thing?
Yeah, I think if gas is a problem, and it's a concern for people, that means they're not doing the budgeting. They're not taking care of the four walls, the basic stuff, the food, transportation, shelter, clothing, those types of things, and probably not with a budget, and they probably need some help. And that, of course, I refer them to you or to one of the financial peace classes, but they need some help and some coaching and need to figure it out, because filling your gas tank, you have to be able to go to work. It's just the way we're set up, and So it doesn't matter what kind of car it is. It doesn't matter if it's new, old, or whatever. But if gas is a problem, get the budget in order. It's another one of those, whether the canary in the coal mine, it just tells you that there's something wrong.
Absolutely. And one other thing we talked about is if you don't have an emergency fund, even a $1,000 emergency fund, that means you can't afford the car. Let's talk about that a little bit.
Well, and it goes along with another one about if this car you buy is going to be your biggest asset. Again, you can't afford the car. You need to have some emergency. Cars are mechanical. They break down. That happens. They need maintenance. Mark talked about that earlier, oil changes and pieces wear out. And so you have to work that into the budget and just plan on it. It needs to just be part of a thought-out process. And nothing. It's not. My kids, when they were younger, the ones that just look at you, you get them on the budget, and well, what are you going to put in your budget for car repairs and oil? A car's not broken. It's just getting to think ahead and planning for it. It's going to happen. If it doesn't, then move that money forward and you readjust your budget, but you always plan for it. Emergency fund is what takes care of it. And the three of us coaching enough people, we've found out that if you have an emergency fund, you really don't have emergencies because you have the money. It just takes care of things, and you build the fund back up. Makes life a lot easier.
And so what we're saying for these cars is you want to pay cash. Now, we're not against you buying, we had a financial coach on, has a Lexus, but he paid cash. We have nothing against buying nice cars as long as you have the cash to pay for it. And so if you don't have the cash to pay for the car, simply put, you can't afford the car. I'll never forget, this is the largest car payment. I want to see if any of you can top my largest car payment I've ever seen. It was someone who was going to co-sign, which makes it even worse, for one of their kids on a loan. Pulled their credit report. Mind you, they had over an 800 credit score. So bankers love 800 credit scores. They just think that's the best thing since sliced bread. I'm going through the report. I go, ma'am, is this true? You have a $1,666 a month car payment.
Wow.
She goes, yes, my $80,000 Escalade in the parking lot.
Wow.
$1,666. House payment was $1,400. Only made $3,000 a month from their annuity. Retired early, and they were cashing out the rest to pay for the month to go travel. And I'm going, $1,700 for a car? That cost more. The payment was more than their house payment.
Wow.
I can't top it.
I can't. No, I just say you can't afford the car. In that case. Wow.
It's just insane. Now, we said earlier we were going to show our cars just a little bit. So let's pull one on the screen here. Either Bob, there's Bob and his Kia van.
Yeah, my beautiful a 2006, I think it is. It's got a bunch of dents in it. I take the seats out all the time. I kind of use it as an enclosed pickup truck too when I'm hauling things around, and I don't have to worry where I park it. It's got a little bit of fading paint up there along the top, and I just love it. just fun car to drive.
Now let's see Mark's car or truck rather. There he is. Wow! And what car is that?
That's a 2000 Chevy S10. It's real basic, and this truck is very special for a couple of reasons. One, I keep trying to figure out a way to get rid of it. I know I can sell it for probably more than it's worth because I do take care of it. It gives us a lot of flexibility to haul stuff. But here's what's special about this truck. Both the kids got to learn how to drive a stick shift.
Ooh.
And several neighbors too. So to Rob, to Rachel, to Logan, and I'm sure I'm forgetting someone else that learned how to drive a stick. This is a big deal. It helps you differentiate, and that's important. It's very important.
Awesome. And I've ridden both their cars. They're awesome. They work, and they're nice. They're nice cars. Now here's my car. Well, a picture of one like it. 2000, kind of fuzzy. 2000 Alero. Let's just have fun with this a little bit. I did the total cost of ownership, but we're going to do. We've been talking about this. We're going to do a future show. We're going to really break this down here. But mine's a 2000 Alero. Keep it on the screen here. Here's how much I have spent on this car total. Purchase price when I bought it a couple years ago was $1,895. $135 for taxes, $1,000 in expenses to fix it the first month I owned it. The front end went out. $100 in tires, $30 in wiper blades, $100 in tags for 2 years is at $50 each year, $720 in insurance. I commute 70 miles a day, 4 days a week, $7,280 in fuel over the last 52,000 miles that I've drove the car, and $375 in oil changes. When you add that up, it's $11,635. But per mile, 22 cents a mile.
Wow.
The national average, I knew you were going to get there, but we're at, I think, nationally 62 cents per mile.
Wow.
Is cost of ownership. on average, and you're down to around 20 cents.
Yep.
So you're winning.
Woo! And it's fun. I'll never forget the first time. It's an Oldsmobile, by the way. It's just a plain Jane Oldsmobile. I'll never forget the first time I drove into the parking lot of my old office, and the guy goes, "Wow, it's a sports car." It's an Oldsmobile. So we're always worried about how we look driving these things down the road. They thought I had a sports car. Go figure. Well, if you can't afford the car, let's talk about something else. If you are what you drive. You can't afford the car if you are what you're driving. I think, Bob, what you mean by that is if your car is your identity.
Yeah, well, like that Escalade you were talking about, that was obviously very important to those people to be seen in that car, and they were compromising their retirement and possibly even the home ownership at some point because of that. It's I just don't understand it. I mean, it's cultural. We see it a lot, but I learned very young, and I don't know if it was my parents or my grandparents, but it was the thing was always, don't love something that can't love you back. And that would be cars and houses and boats and toys and stuff. And it's our relationships that matter and not the toys.
Absolutely. As my friend says, everything's for sale but my wife and kids.
Yeah, great.
So what about you? You see it all the time. How many people, I mean, do you see this all the time where people, man, I got to have this car because this car is me? And I'm actually just right now thinking of there's car commercials that they try to say this car is me.
Well, it's the features that are big, but you really, Justin, you really hit on the big one is the marketing, the TV. We're watching TV and the TV says buy the car now and buy it right away and get everything you want on it. And that's what we're bombarded with. So I don't think the problem is necessarily maybe financial as much as it's the advertising.
It is, and it's not just TV anymore. It's now on, if you go to YouTube or online, everything's getting very sophisticated because a lot of people spend more time online now than TV. And then you go billboards, and they're everywhere saying, you got to have this car, you got to have this car, you got to have this car. And then the first time, I can't tell you the number of people I've seen, they write their first car payment. I like the car. But by the second or third car payment, man, I got thinking car payment. And I'll tell you what, when I paid off my car, and what we had cash value insurance, which obviously none of us in here are going to get too excited about cash value insurance, got term insurance, and the cash value I built up, I cashed it out after I got my term insurance in place, used that to pay off our Suburban. And I'll tell you what, it felt good not writing a check for $300 a month to the bank, because that was a pretty big deal for us, $300 a month based on the income we had at the time. That was a lot of money. That's $3,600 a year, $36,000 in 10 years. It's now my money. Mm-hmm. And it just feels great. And I'm sure for you guys, when you paid off your cars and said no more, it just felt great. Awesome. Mm-hmm. Well, guys, it has been fun. Bob Conroy with Conroy Insurance, LLC. Thank you for being on the show today. Great. And Mark Lang, a car salesman and retired guy. Both of these guys, we all follow the Dave Ramsey mantra and love it here. And so when we come back here on the Strong Tower Financial Hour, we're going to have Steve Bensema with RE/MAX Real Estate. And we're going to talk about, and Bob actually mentioned a second ago, the cost of a car, how that affects you buying your next house or making improvements to your house. Maybe you've got home repairs that you want to make or home improvements, but you can't because you've got $600, $700, $800 in car payments. You can't go do the home repairs that you want to do. So keep checking us out. We're going to have this same video up later today on Facebook, and also we're going to have it on our webcast app at Webcast One Live. That's the app you can get for your iPhone or your Android. So when we come back, Steve Bensema with RE/MAX Real Estate. Thanks for joining us.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Hi, my name is Steve Bensema with RE/MAX, where a house becomes a home. And when your host, Justin, wanted to sell his home, he gave me a call. I want to share a little bit about my buying philosophy when I work with home buyers. I always want to make sure that people are taking into consideration what home they can afford, not what home they think they can afford. So I ask a question around if they've really looked at what their budget looks like for buying a home. And there's for two reasons. One, I do not want my clients calling me in 2 to 3 years to do a short sale. I want people to be able to order pizza on Friday night and not be worried about the mortgage on Monday. So if you're looking for a home to buy, and you want someone on your side to make sure you're buying the right home for you right now, give me a call at 515-257-9999. 515-257-6531. Again, that's 515-257-6531. Or check me out on Facebook. Again, I'm Steve Bensmo with RE/MAX, where a house becomes a home, and I'm looking forward to working with you. Thanks.
At Conroy Insurance Services, LLC, we help families and business owners protect their most valuable assets. We have established an excellent reputation with our clients, and we will continue to strive to exceed your expectations. Our talented team of insurance professionals are always available to assist you, and that is why we are independent, trusted, and preferred. Hi, I'm Bob Conroy. Contact me for all of your personal and business insurance needs at conroyllc.com.
Drink, dance, party. Kitty's is the ultimate dance club in Des Moines. A huge dance floor with room to move, 3 bars to keep your drinks full, and kickin' DJs playing all your favorite dance music. At Kitty's, we've always got your birthday party planned with Birthday Fridays. That's right, when your birthday rolls around, there's only one place to go. Gather up your friends and head to Kitty's, where you drink free on the Friday of your birthday week. Find out more about Birthday Fridays at kittysusa.com. Kitty's, all kinds of people, all kinds of music, all kinds of fun.
Drug and alcohol addiction slowly steals a person's identity, tearing away pieces of their life little by little until one day it seems like the hope of a happy future is gone and there's no chance of getting it back. Here at St. Gregory Retreat Centers, we can assure you that there is hope. Our unique approach to recovery begins with the understanding that the dysfunction and damage caused by addiction can be overcome, not just dealt with. Don't let another day go by. Call St. Gregory today.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
And we are live at the Strong Tower Financial Hour. Thank you again for joining us. And so we are having a theme hour show of how much is your car costing you. And because it's probably costing you a lot, as it costs a lot of folks. And it did me. I was one that had a lot of car payments. And again, $300 a month here and there. My first car payment was $100 a month. And then it was $180 a month. And then it was about $300 a month. And I realized this is not working out for me. Paid off the car and haven't looked back since. And so if you've missed this show today, by all means, go to our Facebook page at facebook.com/Strong Tower Iowa. Well, we'll have a YouTube video of the whole show today. So we had Dave Jacobson on, a financial coach like myself with financial fitness. We also had Bob Conroy of Conroy Insurance LLC and Mark Lang, a fellow person going at the tribe here, and he's retired and doing car sales. We talked about the sales process and the total cost of owner process. And now on our show is our friend Steve Bensmo with RE/MAX Real Estate. Steve, how's it going?
Yeah, I'm doing great today, Justin. How are you?
Doing well, thank you. So last time we had the show, Steve, you said real estate was hopping. Is it still going gangbusters?
It's hopping, skipping, doing everything. It's been a good year so far.
Wow. So how many homes have you sold so far, if you don't mind sharing with us?
I've got 41 under contract, and I'm working on another couple offers. We'll see if we can't get a couple more before the week's done.
Wow. So you're saying if you need to buy, or you need to sell a house, rather, now's the time because you're getting good prices for it.
Oh, absolutely. Homes are selling quickly, and most of the ones I've been selling have been pretty close to asking price or above.
Wow. So some are even going above asking price. I always like to ask you, what is your client's look on their face when they go, I'm getting more than the asking price?
You know, it's a fun little shocker, especially one couple a couple weeks back. They had tried to do for sale by owner for a couple of weeks and thought they had a buyer. Buyer fell through because of financing. Then we put it on the market and ended up selling it above asking price. They were pretty excited, let me say.
Wow. Very cool. Well, as you know, today's show is the total cost of ownership and how much is your car costing you. What do you see as a realtor when it comes to people with their cars and their car payments? How does that affect them buying a home?
You know, what most lenders are going to look at is going to be the overall debt-to-income ratio of people. So the car factor is a really big factor when it comes into that. So like you've been saying, if your payment was $300 a month, if the average payment is about $450 or $500 a month, that's a big portion of your income going towards cars. Especially if you factor if you've got two of those, then you're paying potentially $900, $1,000 a month in car payments. I'll give you one great example. I had a foreclosure listed earlier this year. I think it was listed at about $40,000, somewhere around there. This couple came through. They loved it, but they could not get pre-approved for a house. They were making $80,000 a year. They could not get financing for a $40,000 house because their car payments were about $1,200 or $1,500 a month between the two cars.
Wow. $80,000 a year, and they couldn't buy a $45,000 house?
Yes, because of the car payments. Crazy.
I just want to throw this. I'm like, wow. Wow, $1,500 a month for two cars, and you make $80,000 a year. That is crazy. Wow. Anyway, So $500 a month, and that's rounding up, is the national average of car payments per month. And you and I have seen them higher and lower, but the average is $500. Explain how much $500, how much more house can you get with $500 a month?
You know, it's pretty drastic. I ran a couple different comparisons. So if kind of using that average income of about $50,000 just to round down to $48,000, just so it's easier numbers. So figure the average gross income for a family would be about $4,000 a month. When you factor in after the 25% of the take-home pay, somewhere in that $3,600 range, somewhere about using Dave's principles and your principles around the whole idea of a 15-year mortgage, no more than a quarter of take-home pay, it would be around $850 to $900 a month as far as the mortgage goes. Now, what that looks like if you put in 10% down is you'd be able to buy about a $120,000 house on that 15-year mortgage.
And we've got a picture of a $120,000 house. Let's put that on the screen here. Not too shabby for a first-time home buyer.
Good little starter home, something along those lines. So that house would be probably about $800 a month for round numbers.
Wow.
Now, if you were going to use that same $800 a month payment, but you had a $500 car payment, you're looking at about a $300 a month house payment that you could afford.
So let's see what a house would look like when you have a $500 car payment and you were trying to stay within our guidelines.
That'd be about a $45,000 house. And the picture you're looking at shows that it is a $45,000 house.
And I can't tell you how many times, and I'm not picking on the people who live in these houses, but I have seen houses like this, and as I'm driving by, I see brand new or darn close to brand new cars that probably cost anywhere from $15,000 to $30,000.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a term of house poor, but I guess you can also be car poor.
Absolutely. Now, we were talking a little bit before the show today about the other thing, you know, both we big on getting out of debt. What if you had that $500 a month going on your house payment to get rid of your house payment faster? How would that change things?
Well, let's look at what the average person would do. The average person would probably take that $500 a month and put it on top of their mortgage payment to get a bigger house. So with a $1,300 a month mortgage payment, kind of still using the same principles, you'd be looking at about a $200,000 house, which would be a nice place. Or if you keep that same $120,000 house and put an extra $500 a month towards paying off the mortgage, guess how long it would take to get your 15-year mortgage paid off?
Give me an answer.
Roughly 8 years or less. So you can have a 15-year mortgage paid off in 8 years and have a paid-for house in 8 years.
Wow. 8 years. I mean, my wife and I just celebrated our dating anniversary. I know that sounds crazy, but it's easy to remember. That's the only reason why I probably remember it. I asked my wife on a date 9 years ago. Had we done that, paid for house?
Yep.
Wow. And we think 8 years and buying a house, oh my gosh, it's going to be a long time. 8 years goes by pretty quick.
So even so let's say somebody does buy that $120,000 house and they start having some kids and need to upgrade. Imagine the equity growth that you have in that spot at that point, where you've got a lot of equity in that house that you can put towards a down payment, towards a larger house at the time too. Not saying that somebody would stay there all 8 years, but the principle still holds. So if you can definitely really get some debt paid down if you use that principle.
Oh, absolutely. And the reverse is true. I mean, we're just now coming out of the real estate cycle where it was kind of down for a little while, even in Iowa, where real estate was down. And what's interesting is when you put low money down and you don't have an emergency fund like we talked about earlier, and you're not doing a budget and you need to move because a company's wanting to relocate you or you found a better job or you need to move closer to mom and dad or somebody to help them out, and you don't have any equity is what you're just talking about, an equity, you're going to have to write a check at closing. And the next question is, where are we getting the money to write a check at closing? And I got to believe, Steve, you had some of those conversations over the last several years.
I've had quite a few, and a lot of those people have $500 car payments.
Wow. And just think, if they didn't have that $500 car payment, and if they were putting that away every month, even just in a savings account making 0.1%, that's $6,000 that those clients could have had. And I bet you've seen a lot of closing where $6,000, if they could have wrote that check, they could have been out.
Yeah, I'll give you another statistic. I don't have the stats to back this up, but I heard a couple weeks back that over the last 4 or 5 years, about 75% or more of the foreclosures could have been stayed off by another $400 or $500 a month.
Wow. So 75%, if I heard that right, of the foreclosures could have been prevented if the borrowers had an additional $400 or $500 a month.
Yeah, so I'm not sure where that came from, but I'm assuming if you were to really dig in, that would probably be pretty accurate.
No, I mean, it sounds a lot accurate. You know, when I run the numbers on our budget forms, one of the things we have is percentages of income. And I can't tell you how many times I've had discussion with clients where your car is about 15 to 25% of your income, just the payment for the car. We're not talking fuel, maintenance, insurance. We're not talking about your house, food, clothing, all the other things that comes into a monthly budget. But just for the car payment, 15 to 25% of their income pay. I see that all the time.
Mm-hmm, absolutely.
And you probably do as well. So, I mean, do you have any stories that you can share? And if not, fine. But do you have any stories that you can share where client goes to get pre-approved and the debt-to-income ratio? Let's talk about that real quick. I want to change gears here. Debt-to-income ratio. As a banker, when you're going in to do a debt-to-income ratio, they're taking your gross monthly dollars and dividing that into all the payments on your credit report plus your new house payment plus taxes and insurance for the house. Most lenders today, correct me if I'm wrong, Steve, they can go up to 40% debt-to-income ratio, 41%, which net, by the way, is 54%. So just because you get pre-approved at 40% debt-to-income, you're taking more than one paycheck to pay for the house. I don't recommend that. But if you qualify, one of the things that debt-to-income doesn't talk about is your food, your insurance for both health insurance, auto insurance, life insurance. Doesn't talk about clothing, gifts, you're giving, if you give to your church or give to help other people. People don't understand that there's other things missing in this debt-to-income ratio thing. And so even if they get approved or pre-approved rather, and they have this high car payment, this car is taking them away from paying for the basics. Would you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And I know one of your philosophies, Steve, and go ahead and just share it again. I know you share it several times with our listeners about how you want to make sure when people get a home that they're not getting a home where 3 years later it's being short sold or they can't even afford a pizza for the family.
Yeah, absolutely. That's one of the biggest things. I don't go in extreme depth into people's budgets, but I always do ask the question to make sure that they really look at what does this look like from a monthly standpoint. I know there's too many times where people end up getting into a house and they didn't really look at what the numbers were. And so I want to make sure that people know what they're getting themselves into so that they're not calling me in 2 to 3 years to do a short sale. I want people to be able to make sure that they can order a pizza on Friday night, not be worried about the mortgage on Monday. And so I don't want people to be so indebted to their house that they can't really live their life. And the same concept can happen with the car when you're with these numbers you're talking about. And so if you're going to get foreclosed on because of your car payment, you better really love sleeping in that car. Or it better be a big enough car where you can fit your whole family in the back of it or something.
So you're saying we need one of those big church vans?
Yeah, apparently. One of the 15-passenger deals.
Especially if Steve and I were to lose our houses, which I don't think we're going to do. But Steve's got 4 awesome kids, and I've got 5. So we could fill up a car pretty quick. Well, any last words of wisdom that you would like to give our listeners when it comes to buying a house and how the car affects that?
You know, not necessarily around the car, but just one thing that I've been seeing here lately. If people have been on the fence and they've been doing the right things and they're looking to get a mortgage here soon, interest rates are starting to go up. A couple weeks ago, people were getting locked in at 3.25. Just yesterday, I was talking to a list of things are up to 4.25. 1% interest on a mortgage when you're talking about $100,000 to $200,000, that has a pretty big impact on the monthly payment. And so if people are on the fence and wanting to buy a house, they've got their cars paid off, they're in a good spot, don't wait too much longer because otherwise these rates are going to keep going up and you're really going to start losing some good buying power.
No, that's a great point. So, Steve, as always, thank you for joining us on the show. That was Steve Bensimon with RE/MAX Real Estate. I highly encourage you, whether you're going to buy or sell a home, be sure to use Steve. He's awesome. Steve Bensema, again, RE/MAX Real Estate. Well, thank you all for joining us on the show today. This is a Strong Tower Financial Hour. I want to thank our producer, Ryan Northfield, and also everyone here at Webcast One Studios. And thanks to you for watching this show, where we do help people from going broke and scared and get them with hope with a plan. Thanks for joining us.
This broadcast is designed to provide accurate and authoritative information with regards to the subject matter covered. It is sold with the understanding that neither the radio host nor the station are engaged in rendering legal, accounting, or other professional advice. If legal advice or other expert professional assistance is required, the services of a competent professional should be sought.